Hello and welcome to the Powercat Postgame show brought to you by the K-State Collegian. My name is Mike Stanton. I'm here with our sports editors Sean Frye and John Zetmeir. We're here at Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma, where the K-State Wildcats just fell to the Oklahoma State Cowboys by a score of 33-29 to drop to 2-3 overall on the season. Mistakes and turnovers were a key part of this game. John, tell us a little bit about how they turned the tide of the game.
Well, as I kind of wrote earlier this week, that one of the keys to the game would be K-State's ability to not turn the ball over and not commit dumb penalties and just penalties as a whole. None of that today. They come out, they turn the ball over 5 times. Yes, they force a turnover, but they still go -4 in the turnover margin. They commit 12 penalties for 92 yards, and ultimately that had to be the story of the game. Late in the game, they were still in it, but you got to think if they maybe cut those penalties in half or even less than half, they're not worried about things like that. You can't turn the ball over as many times as they do either. You just won't win football games turning the ball over 5 times.
As has been the case all season, the quarterback battle was a big storyline coming out of today's game. Jake Waters picked up the start, but after the first play, he came out and was replaced by Daniel Sands for the majority of the game. Sean, what does this do for the team to have to switch back and forth between quarterbacks all the time?
I don't think it's good for K-State at all to be using this 2-quarterback system. I was wary of it going into the season when it was announced that, Snyder was going to use both. And sure enough, you saw it in week 1 when North Dakota State went into Manhattan and beat the Wildcats. Then against Texas, it looked awful. Anytime Sands went in the game, they were obviously tipping hands as to whether Sands was going to run or Waters was going to pass. And then this week, there wasn't enough fluidity there. Daniel Sands, he had his ups and downs. He had 299 total yards, and he had 3 total touchdowns, but he also had 4 turnovers, and he made poor decisions in throwing the ball deep. That really cost the team the game at the end, along with all those penalties and turnovers that John talked about. Jake Waters, he never really got into a rhythm. He didn't play that much at all, and one of the very few plays he even saw action, he fumbled inside the 10-yard line. So this 2-quarterback system really didn't look good today. Snyder, in my opinion, has to choose between Sands or Waters. They're both good quarterbacks, but they both can't play anymore. As the saying goes, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none.
After dropping to 0-2 in the Big 12, K-State's chances of defending their conference title from last year look slim. John, are there any positives that we can take away from today's game?
I think the play of this defense is something we can take away that was a positive. They played a lot better, only allowing 33 points to an explosive Oklahoma State offense. So I definitely think the play of the defense is a positive moving forward.
Absolutely. And the Baylor Bears are coming to Manhattan next Saturday. Sean, what's your biggest concern heading into that game?
The biggest concern has to be the health of 2 of K-State's biggest threats, both on offense and on special teams. That's wide receiver Tyler Lockett and wide receiver Tremaine Thompson. Tremaine did not play today. Reasons were unspecified as to why that happened. And as for Tyler Lockett, he left the game early with injury. It looked like a hamstring injury. Could have been ankle. Coach Snyder said he didn't know what his status was as the game was ending. So going forward, those have to be 2 big concerns because it hurt both on special teams in the kick return game and it hurt offensively in terms of how many targets Sands or Waters had to throw to, not having those guys in there.
Well, that's a wrap from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Check back with us later this week for our pregame coverage of Saturday's game against the Baylor Bears. With the K-State Collegian, for John Zetmeir and Sean Frye, I'm Mike Stanton. We'll see you next time.